In this video, we're going to be looking at 4 different theorems that we're going to use to prove triangles congruent. So what I would like for you to do on this video is take notes. So do this in your notebook that you usually put your notes in. So if you need to pause to get your notebooks out, go ahead and do that. Okay, so the first note here is for 4.3, and we're going to look at a theorem that is called side angle side. So we're going to put side angle side, and we're going to abbreviate that with SAS. And then for each of these, we're going to state what the theorem is, and then we're going to draw a diagram to explain it. So for this one, we want to say if, and then we're going to have 2 triangles. So I want you to draw 2 triangles. They just need to look something like this. They don't have to be exact. And we're going to label this one RST. And it's really important that you get those letters in exactly the same spots. And then we're going to do another triangle. And this one is going to be labeled XYZ. And what we want to do is we want to put some congruency markings on it. I'm going to use different colored pens for this. You don't have to do that. So I'm going to label the angles. I'm going to put angle S, and I want to say that that is congruent to angle Y. And then I want to look at the side lengths. And so I've got the side RS. I'll start with ST. I'm going to say ST, and I'm going to put 1 marking there is going to be congruent to YZ, and I put 1 marking there. And then for the other side, I want to do RS, and I'm going to put a double mark on that one, and then XY, put a double mark on that one too. So what I can say is that by what's called side angle side, if 2 triangles have sides that are congruent and then an angle that's included, or in other words, in between the 2 sides that is congruent.
Can you borrow headphones from me?
Yeah. All right, sorry about that. So if we can say that we've got 2 sides that are congruent, and then the angles that are in between those sides are congruent, and then the other 2 sides are congruent, we say that both of the triangles are congruent. So our then statement would be, if we have this scenario, then we can say triangle RST is congruent to triangle XYZ. Okay, and we would say that these are congruent by side angle side. The next theorem we want to look at is called side side side. So put side side side, and you're going to have an opportunity to do problems and kind of work through some of the whys on some of this today with some other stations. But side 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 says if now I have 2 other triangles, so I'm going to draw those triangles, and I'm going to call this one JKL, and then I'm going to draw another one here, and I call this one MNP, and then I'm going to put my congruency markings. If I say that KL is congruent to NP, and then KJ is going to be congruent to MN, and then lastly I'm going to put that JL is congruent to MP. If I know all of those are congruent, then I can say by side side side, then triangle JKL is congruent to triangle MNP. Okay, the next 2 theorems come from section 4.4. So let's put 4.4. And if you actually want to go back up to 4.3, you can put side angle side and side side side. And then down here, we are going to say angle side angle, and we're also going to do angle angle side. So let's start out with angle side angle. So go ahead and write that. Angle side angle. And again, I need to draw two triangles. So we're going to draw something like this. And I'm going to label it L, M, N. Again, the order on all of this really matters. I'm going to have another video that goes over that in depth. For now, I just want to make sure you get these notes down and that you get them down correctly. So here we would say R, and then S, and then T. So for this one, what I want to look at are two of the angles. So I'm going to say that angle M is going to be congruent to angle S. And then I also have that angle N is congruent to angle T. And then we do have a side in there. And so the side is going to be MN, and that's going to be congruent to ST. So now when I look at this, the names of the theorems lead you through what they mean. So I've got an angle, so these two angles are congruent. The sides in between these angles are congruent, and then these two angles are congruent. So we've got angle, side, angle is congruent to angle, side, angle. And if that is the case, then we say triangle MLN is congruent to triangle SRT. Okay, and that's our third theorem. The last theorem that we have is called angle, angle, side. And we abbreviate that angle, angle, side, and I think I forgot to tell you to put the abbreviation here on the first part of 4-4. So on this one, put angle, side, that's not right, angle, side, angle. Alright, so for this one, what we are saying is if we have two triangles again, and I'm going to call this one U, V, and W, and then over here I have X, Y, and Z. Now I'm looking for angle, angle, side. So I'm going to start with angle U, if that is congruent to angle X, and then I'm going to look at angle V, and I put the two markings there and say that that is congruent to angle Y. And then lastly, I'm going to have VW, that side is congruent to YZ. So if I have this situation, I've got an angle next to an angle next to a side, and an angle next to an angle next to a side. So if that is the case, I have angle, angle, side, then I can say that triangle UVW is congruent to triangle XYZ. Right? And that's our fourth theorem. That's the second one from 4-4. Okay, so those are your basic notes, and then today we're going to be working with those theorems.